Well, Labour has officially won the 2024 election after reaching the required 326 seats. So far, results for 645 of the 650 seats have been declared. Of them, Labour has won in 411 seats, Conservatives have won in 119 seats, Liberal Democrats in 71 and the SNP in 9 seats. And the Sinn Féin in 7 seats. Well, speaking in central London, Starmer, who is said to be the new Prime Minister, said, "Change begins now. It feels good, I have to be honest," he told a cheering crowd.
For it, you fought for it, you voted for it, and now it has arrived. Change begins now.
The Conservative Party conceded defeat in a fairly short speech. Incumbent Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said, and I'm quoting him here, "Labour has won this election." He said he had called Starmer to congratulate him on his historic win.
That should give us all confidence in our country's stability and future. The British people have delivered a sobering verdict tonight. There is much to learn and reflect on, and I take responsibility for the loss. To the many good, hard-working Conservative candidates who lost tonight, despite their tireless efforts.
Sunak conceded defeat, however, he retained his Richmond and North Allerton seat. Starmer has also won his seat in Holborn and St Pancras in London. Ed Davey, the leader of Liberal Democrats, has been re-elected in Kingston and Surbiton. Reform UK's Nigel Farage has been elected as Clacton MP, his first win in 8 attempts. Jeremy Corbyn has been re-elected as MP for Islington North as an independent. Meanwhile, Labour's victory has received mixed reviews, while some people in London say they were excited after the Labour Party won the election. Others did not expect major changes to take place in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, excited for something to need to happen. I think the country needs it. It's not the same. You know, I was a child in '97. I don't think it's quite that kind of spirit. But I'm hopeful the new government will come in with some plans. My feel with Labour coming in and the way that they have changed in the last few years is that we are going to get that again. So if we stand a chance to have that, I think that is what they can deliver.
I think the future will be better. I think the future will be more better now. So since the Labour Party is in power now, I think the country will be more better in terms of job and in terms of safety. So there will be more of protection in the country and more job for the country.
Well, as the Conservative Party suffers a heavy election defeat at the hands of Labour, many senior Tories have lost their seats. Let's take you through that. Conservative leader of the House of Commons, Penny Mordaunt, who was tipped as a future Tory leader contender, saw her majority of more than 15,000 overturned in Portsmouth North. Defence Secretary Grant Shapps also lost to Labour in Welwyn Hatfield. Also, Justice Secretary Alex Chalk was defeated in Cheltenham by Liberal Democratic contestant Max Williamson. Education Secretary Gillian Keegan is also one of the losers. The Liberal Democrats defeated the Conservative politician in Chichester by 25,540 votes. Lucy Fraser, who served as Culture Secretary in the Cabinet, also lost her East Cambridgeshire seat. Liberal Democrats Charlotte Kane won from the constituency. Meanwhile, former Business Secretary Rees-Mogg lost in North East Somerset and Hanham, with Labour overturning his 16,000 majority. Former Chief Whip Simon Hart ended third in the race for Carefryden constituency. Also, the Science Secretary Michelle Donlan lost to Lib Dems Brian Matthew in Milksham and Devizes. Not to forget Liz Truss, the former Prime Minister of UK. She suffered a humiliating blow in southwest Norfolk. She lost to Labour's Terry Jeremy by around 600 votes. And we'll discuss UK elections and the historic Labour win. We're now being joined by our correspondent Oliver Regan, live from Westminster. To further discussion, we're also being joined by Chris Blackburn, who is an international affairs expert and political analyst, live from London. Welcome to the show, both of you. Oliver, I want to first start with you. Historic day in the United Kingdom. The Labour Party has won, ending 14 years of conservatism. Looks like there is a wind of change in London. Take us through how the Britons have reacted to the Labour win.
Yeah, well, certainly winds blowing, lots of rain today and miserable weather, but I'm sure if you're part of the Labour Party and Keir Starmer this morning, you're certainly not feeling miserable no matter what the weather's doing. It is a historic moment, as you say. 14 years of Conservative rule now ended and Labour back in charge for the first time since 2005. We've had drama throughout the night, of course, many cabinet ministers losing their seats for the Conservative Party, and also brand new Labour MPs, over 400 of them. The count's still going on. We've got 5 or so seats left still to declare this morning, given their slightly more rural locations, so it takes a little bit longer for those votes to be counted. But as I joined you yesterday at the polling stations, they certainly felt a wind of change in the UK, and as the votes were ratified and counted overnight, it's clear that the country has delivered a huge majority for Sir Keir Starmer's Labour Party and punished the Conservatives for what they consider to be poor rule over the last few years. And another note to make is that the minor parties have done well. The Liberal Democrats going to one of their best ever results, and Reform UK taking their first MPs, including their leader Nigel Farage. So it was a mixed night, but the one resounding message is that the voters were simply fed up with the Conservative Party.
Right, Oliver. Coming to you, Mr. Blackburn, Oliver there says that the result today looks like it was a punishment for the Tories and a win for the Labour. I want to understand this better. With a landslide victory for the Labour Party after 14 long years, do you think that this was a vote for Labour or perhaps against the Tories?
Yeah, I think it's a bit mixed, but what it was a win for the exit pollsters, because they've known that the Britain simply wants change. We've known that for the last couple of years. And I think Sir Keir Starmer has tried to put a sort of professional gloss on the Labour Party and looking like it is a party that's ready for change and to stop basically what's been quite a chaotic run of Conservative governments. So I think, yes, you're right, it's a massive win for Labour, but when you look at the smaller parties, Reformers took so many votes from the Conservatives, so that they're going to have to lick their wounds really from this brutal beating, and then try to look for what direction the party's going to go in. So yes, it's a massive win for Labour. It's been quite a transformational election when you look at the actual different countries. Scotland, the SNP, the Scottish Nationalists, have literally fallen apart. And Labour have then retaken parts of Wales, and in Northern Ireland, as you said at the start of the programme, Sinn Féin are now the biggest party in Northern Ireland. So it's quite a transformational election.
Right, Mr. Blackburn, there you say that it's a mix of vote for Labour and also against the Tories. Coming back to you, Oliver, give us a sense of what has been happening over the past few hours and the next steps that will take place in the UK before Keir Starmer enters 10 Downing.
Yeah, well, of course, early this morning we had Rishi Sunak conceding defeat. He said he called Sir Keir Starmer to wish him his congratulations, and I imagine Sunak and his team now will be packing up inside 10 Downing Street, as will the Chancellor in number 11, Jeremy Hunt. They'll be packing up their belongings so that the transformation of power can take place, and Sir Keir Starmer will need to visit the King. He will need to be invited to form a new government, which is obviously one of the procedural things that happens here in the UK. And then it'll be a case of Sir Keir moving in. He'll take those famous steps down Downing Street to stand outside number 10 to make his first speech outside that famous building that has seen so many leaders over the years. So many Conservative leaders, fewer Labour leaders. It is a remarkable achievement, one of only a handful of men to have taken Labour from opposition into power. And then once he's inside the building, of course, you'll get on with the important job of forming his first cabinet, finalising which of his top team are going to take which positions. And then it is about the business of government. Sir Keir has promised great change to happen in this country. He's promised that he will govern with competence. He said that he will get Britain building, that he will tackle some of the weaknesses in the economy. And I think many Britons, clearly by the way they voted yesterday, want that change to happen quickly. And they want Sir Keir Starmer to get on with that change as soon as he possibly can.
Right, Oliver, Starmer in his winning speech did say that change begins now. Coming to you, Mr. Blackburn, what were some of the defining moments of this election for you, and were there any surprises or non-surprises?
No, as I've said, there's been no surprises. What the sort of opinion polls and the exit polls suggested is that it was going to be a Labour landslide. I mean, if we compare it and contrast it with India, the exit pollsters got it completely wrong in India. So I think what we'll see, and the things that stood out in this election for me, is there was the rise of the independent candidates, and they were very sectarian, and they were using the sort of the conflict in Gaza and issues to do with identity politics. So I think that was a real worry for me. I think it's quite a trend that there's a rise in this sort of identity and culture wars in the United Kingdom. So I think looking at a sort of a buffer and a balance on that, the Lib Dems have done phenomenally well and got I think it's the biggest they've ever had, even back to the time of the old Liberals and the Whigs. So it's massive for the Liberal Democrats, and for Labour to now win, it's a big win for centrist politics in the United Kingdom. So I think these sort of the contrast between the sectarianism in certain areas, I think we're going to have to do some real work going forward.
Right, thank you, Mr. Blackburn and Oliver, for joining us on the show with your insights.